for over 200 years, we've been told a remarkable story. That in 1816, an 18-year-old girl, Mary Godwin, conceived and wrote one of the most philosophically dense novels in Western literature, Frankenstein. A book saturated with forbidden knowledge, revolutionary politics, scientific obsession, and symbolic structures associated with elite male intellectual circles. First, let's examine the title of the book, Frankenstein, or the original Prometheus. Who is Prometheus? He is a titan in Greek mythology, famous for creating humans out of clay, stealing fire from the gods, giving it to humanity. Sound familiar? His key aspects are being known as a trickster, a rebel in giving technology to humans, though he was greatly punished for this by Zeus. So as you can see, our introduction to this book, supposedly written by a girl just over 18, is complex in of itself, and we are asked to accept this without hesitation. But history becomes more interesting when we ask a simple question. Who was actually in the room when Frankenstein was born? During the summer of 1816, a small group gathered at Villa Diodati near Lake Geneva. Lord Byron, already infamous across Europe for his work, but also his excesses and flamboyancy. Percy Bysshe Shelley, radical, atheist, politically outspoken, a man steeped in revolutionary ideas. John Polidori, a physician, literary aspirant, an observer of elite intellectual culture. And Mary Godwin, young, brilliant, but socially constrained. They did not simply read ghost stories. They debated reanimation, electricity, anatomy, and the moral limits of human ambition. They discussed radical politics and revolutionary philosophy. They experimented with ideas and each other in a setting almost like a ritualized intellectual laboratory. This was not casual inspiration. This was collective intellectual immersion, a crucible of ideas. Consider Shelley's world at the time. He was fascinated by secret societies. Not imaginary ones, but real. The Carbonari in Italy. The Carbonari were revolutionary networks modeled in part on Freemasonry, complete with secret rituals, hierarchies, and allegorical moral codes. Freemasonry on the surface emphasized symbolic morality, supreme secrecy, and Enlightenment principles, while excluding women entirely. The Carbonari borrowed some of these structures and added political rebellion, revolution, and clandestine operations. Shelley, Byron, and their circle were enmeshed in this culture of secrecy and symbolic thinking, and where the mind goes, the body follows. And yet, we are told that Mary, excluded by society from these male networks, wrote a novel that reads like a handbook for the Promethean rebel, structured almost like an initiation into forbidden knowledge. Look closer at Frankenstein, transgression, punishment, exile, the relentless consequences of overreaching ambition. These are not casual Gothic tropes. They mirror the ritualized, moralized structures of secret societies, Freemasonry, and the Carbonari, with their emphasis on hierarchy, knowledge reserved for the initiated, and moral allegory. If Mary were alone, how could she have absorbed this structure with such fluency? Or is it more plausible that the novel's symbolic architecture reflects the minds of men already immersed in these circles? Then there is the question of publication. Frankenstein appeared anonymously in 1818. Percy Shelley wrote the preface. Reviewers assumed the author was male. Some assumed Percy himself. Mary did not publicly claim authorship until 1823, after Percy's death. This fact and timing alone is curious. Anonymous publication creates space. Space for collaboration to go uncredited. Space for ideas to circulate without accountability. A death creates space for someone to take the credit and to spread ideas to a wider audience. Women and children. Manuscripts exist, yes, in Mary's handwriting. But handwriting proves transcription, not origination. Take a look at some of Mary's other writing samples. They just do not add up or match the levels of depth presented in Frankenstein or the original Prometheus. Again, the title alone presents concepts that are both deep, veiled, and complex. Too complex for an 18-year-old girl to write after having a dream as the story is told. Ideas were discussed aloud in that intense circle, debated, shaped, refined by men with far more experience and revolutionary thought, classical symbolism, and secret society codes than Mary could have accessed at 18. Ask yourself this: if Percy Shelley had published Frankenstein under his own name, would anyone question it? If Byron had been the author, would anyone be surprised? Or is our certainty simply the story we've been told for convenience? Perhaps Mary Shelley preserved the novel. Perhaps she edited it. Perhaps she polished it. Perhaps she profited from it in more ways than one. But the intellectual DNA, the revolutionary philosophy, the symbolic rituals, the moral architecture, all point to the men who surrounded her at Villa Diodati: Percy Shelley, Lord Byron, John Polidori. Secret societies, radical politics, philosophical rebellion, these are the fingerprints on the text. Mary Shelley may have been the face of Frankenstein. Her name is on all the books and written into history. But the mind behind the monster points to someone else entirely. The story of Frankenstein is far more complex, more conspiratorial, and more intellectually and spiritually charged than the legend of a teenage girl prodigy allows. Its themes of Promethean creation, transgression punished, knowledge versus morality, isolation and exile, symbolism and ritual are all supremely advanced topics. And perhaps the real author is hiding in plain sight, encoded in the symbolism of secret societies, radical thought, and spiritual occultism that pervade the pages. Thank you for joining me on this dive into the mystery behind the incredible story, and do not fear the truth, even if it is ugly. Have a great day, friends.